Hey guys, I'm going to try to make a video today of how to separate layers of playing cards so you can make Gaff cards or gimmick cards or whatever it is you make. I studied this for a long time because for years I tried to make Gaff cards, but every video I found on YouTube never had certain things, like there were certain questions I had and nobody ever gave the answers to. So after destroying, probably hundreds of cards over the years, I think I came up with the best way to do it. And I'm going to try to be as thorough as possible. So you guys who are out there that, do card tricks like I do, and want to make gimmick cards or Gaff cards, you can do them yourself. The first thing I want to tell you guys is use a new deck of cards. They're only a couple bucks a deck. I'm going to use the Rider Bluebacks here from Bicycle. But don't try to use a deck that you've even a week old. Here, an example. These cards here, this is a week and a half old, and probably 9 out of 10 cards tear. And for you guys who have tried to make or separate these cards before, I think you know what I'm talking about. What happens is you get it going, and then once you get to a certain point, it starts to tear that way, which you're pretty much screwed when that happens. Believe it or not, when you use a deck of cards that you've used even for a week doing tricks, there's small nicks that happen. And those little nicks, even though they may not look huge to you, when you do this and start peeling and get to those points, you tear that way and you're screwed. So for the couple bucks to buy a new deck of cards and use a brand new out-of-the-box deck, it's so much worth it. Also, if anybody ever got to this here, let's say you got that part peeled, okay? You were lucky enough to make it all the way across without tearing anything here, and then you start to peel, and this happens here. That's probably the second biggest thing that's going to happen when you do this. So what I figured out what to do when you start off, take your card. You're going to have to do a couple things to it to break the fibers up. You want to loosen the fibers up in the card. So what I do, and it always works, is I start with corners, and I kind of just do a wave like this, okay? I would say do that for, 20, 30 seconds. Try to do all 4 corners and get that wave going. You're not creasing the card. The card's still staying perfect. It's just you're starting to break the fibers up in here. So when you peel it, it doesn't happen. After I do that wave, I start to roll the card. Let me do it sideways so you see. I start to roll the card back and forth. Both sides. This, to it this way and this way, until the card loosens enough where you can touch the white borders. So I can roll this card and get to these white borders. And it still doesn't crease the card. Everything stays perfect on it. And do that again for 20, 30 seconds. The longer you go, the better it is. I'll start to roll it like this, back and forth. And believe it or not, that's going to help a ton more than not doing it at all. You got to break the fibers up in these cards. For the guys who know, there's 3 levels of cards. There's the front, the face. There's the back, and then in between, there's another like cardboard glued section. That, believe it or not, that's 2 pieces of paper that they glue together at the factory, but it comes out to a 3-level or 3-layered card. So I know some of you who've seen these videos before, you see guys and they start banging them on the table like that. The idea is to get the corner separated. You want to separate these corners so you can separate the layers. That's how you start. You know, the problem with doing that is you damage the card. Like, so if you want to, if you can see here, there's 3 layers, okay? You guys see that? This is the front layer, the back. Here's the front, the face, and here's that piece I told you about in the middle. So depending on what part of the card you're going to do, if you're going to make a double, let's say a double Gaff card, you're going to want to tear the back off, meaning that you're leaving this layer and this layer towards the front, and you're only peeling this, so you can glue another one on. Same thing as if you wanted to change the face, you want to tear the back layer and middle layer and tear just the front face layer off. So it depends on what cards you're going to make. So anyway, the guys who bang them, it works. The problem is you damage a lot of the card. And it kind of looks like shit when you're trying to, you know, make a good deck of Gaff cards. So what I found out over the years is if you take the card and you know, show that at least that much, hit it on your nail, the top of your other nail, because that makes, if you guys, I don't even know if you could see that on the camera, it makes the slightest, the tiniest little ding where it can easily be fixed. You can already see by just tapping it a few times. You see how that's already started to go? A couple more taps and I'll have it. So this, going this way, will cause the least amount of damage to the card. Sometimes you gotta, you know, I mean, don't be shy. You gotta give it a couple shots, because the only way to get the layers to separate in these corners is to bang a corner. And I knew I was going to do this today. I have to do about, I don't know, 60 Gaff cards, not only for myself but for other people. So another thing, if you know you're going to make them, like, let's say like Saturday, let your nails grow a little bit, especially your thumbnail, because believe it or not, that you need a nail. Don't use tweezers or anything like that, because you will destroy the cards. So as you can see, this has already started. You can see that dark in there. That's the black glue that they use from at Bicycle when they make these cards. But banging them on your nail, you get these to separate, and there you go. So here's the biggest problem. Most people, when they tear these, they'll end up ripping, you know, they'll end up ripping like right there. If you see that, it started. Okay, so if I pull this anymore, it's going to tear down. That's okay, because when you glue this back together, you won't even see that. So what I do is, to try to save the card, is open up the other corner. Because if you get the other corner, sometimes you can make it to that tear and no problem continue, you know, down the card. So here, I'll get this corner going again. Now there's different methods. What I like to do is the way you see it. Some people take this and will go right down, hold it, and start peeling. But that's what I know. I find out that tears more cards than doing it this way. And if you see here, now I got it. Okay? So now this whole piece is separated from that. And don't worry about all this. See all this? When it bends a little bit, I'll show you in my next video how to get rid of all that, how you can iron these and get them all out. You'll never see that. Once you get this going, use your fingers. Actually, you know what? Let me go like this. It's a little darker. Use your fingers, and this part, don't be shy with. You want to start tearing it like that, you know, be a little rough with it. But if you look here, sometimes no matter how well you do a card, you're gonna, here, let me see, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna ruin cards. I mean, that's just part of it. So always have extra cards. But if you look here, I mean, I've ruined tons of them. Now, I may have 15, 20 cards there that I ruined, but I've probably made 70 cards today. Okay, so when you start doing that and get it going, don't be shy. Get your hand on here and give this good pulls. You know, and it'll come up. Sometimes I don't know what kind of gaffs, if you need to remove the entire face. The gaffs that I'm making, I only need to remove half of a card right now because of this. But if you need the full card, okay, and when you get to the end, let's say just about, if you guys can see this, you know, a little bit more than that, you got to start using your fingers, your tips of your fingers, and not pull, but you're going to use your fingers to, and kind of push like this, okay? And you're going to push, and you're going to push, and you're going to put some pressure on this pulling hand, but you're not pulling. You're going to do more just with your fingertips and pull, push. It's almost like you're scraping, okay? And you will get them off every single time, no problem. Okay, it'll always come off, and you put this to the side, and it looks like hell, but believe me, once you glue on the whatever gaff you're making, whether you're gonna make a back-to-back card, let's just say, okay, once you glue this on, and I'm gonna make a video, like I said, I'll make a video on how to do it. You'll never see it. It'll look like a brand new card because we're gonna put glue in here. We're going to use heat. You know, of course, you're going to like using a book and putting it in a book. But if you look here, just holding that card on there, you know, from what we ripped off, you can already see it's 98%. All we got to do is that little corner where we started. But, you know, if you look at the card, there's no creases, no dents, no nothing, except right here. Because this one we banged a little bit, but believe it or not, once we glue this together and we use a hot spoon, the rear of a hot spoon, and work this with the glue underneath and use an iron, again with a rag. It's a long process, but I'll show you in the next video. It'll look like a bought gaff card, and you can make any kind of gaffs you want. I mean, I had this one here just to use as an example of a, you know, same double back, but those are the biggest problems I found. Again, you know, tearing here, but like I showed you, if you do it the way I showed you with banging on the card on the corner, you should never have a problem. So if you want, we'll do one. Let's see if I have enough time in my video to do one. So let's use this one, okay? I don't know how much storage I have, but I start out. And I really get this worked like this. I might go, like I said, maybe 20, 30 seconds. The longer, the better. Sometimes I use 2 and 3 cards at a time. It's just a little bit harder. So I just keep rotating corners and do this, you know, just to start breaking up those fibers. Then I start from here and go this way, like I showed you. You know, you want to go a couple times like that. And get it just back and forth and keep rolling. This up and down and this way are going to be the main things you want to do. You don't want to skip these ones. I mean, you can skip this one if you want. I just do it so I don't miss anything. But doing these, you know, this way and the other way up and down are the biggest ones, because these are the ones that are really separating those fibers. And if you don't do that, you're always going to get this. You'll be able to take this off no problem, but once you start pulling, this rips here because it's stuck. It's a new deck of cards. And you guys that have done it and have ripped millions of cards, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, you'll ruin 13, 14 cards, and you'll finally get, you know, the corner off, and you'll finally make it all the way across the head, and then you start to tear down, and you rip it like this. I mean, my God, sometimes I sit outside in the morning and do them on my deck, and I've thrown dishes and plates and my coffee mug and things off the deck because it took me so long, and I ruined so many cards to get to it, and then that happens. So like I said, I've done this hundreds of times. This is the best way. Break up the fibers. Get those fibers soft in there, and it should work every single time. And you will ruin cards. You're still gonna ruin them, but you won't ruin as much. Like I said, now it's like I can do, you know, 8 or 9 and maybe ruin 1 out of 10. Where I used to ruin 9 out of 10, and even the 10th one, you know, I had problems with. You know, guys, I hear guys that try to use razor blades and separate them. It's impossible. You'll end up cutting something. But all right, let's see if this one is ready. So we beat it up. Okay. Use your thumb, like I said. Only expose as much as you want to damage. You don't have to expose that much of it. You know, these guys are beating them like this, and next thing you know, there's creases. There's 3 or 4 creases, you know, this high up the card. If you use this, your thumb, you're only exposing a little bit, and just hit it on your nail, okay? And see that how much of it? That, I mean, you can fix. This is easy to fix, and it'll start splitting like that. But you may straighten it out and do it a couple times, because you may have to do it 2 or 3 times before it works. I mean, this is already working, but let's get it good so you to see. I gotta see how much time I have left, okay? So already you can see it splitting. This is an important part too. When you separate it, make sure whatever side you need, whether it's the face or the back, that you got only that layer. Don't take the middle layer with it, because you'll destroy the other side. So again, some guys put them down, hold it like this, and start peeling across. I find that I ruin more cards. So what I do is I just, you know, if you get your fingers right there and start to slowly, you know, and sometimes I might come back here and just loosen this a little more, you know, just to have some room here. And I slowly work across and get it going. And see, okay, now, see how that tore? Right there? But I only got a little bit, so if I'm lucky, I can get this side up and just meet right at that. And that little tiny tear will disappear easily when you do your gluing, and you'll never know that happened. It'll be completely gone. And again, you'll see it in the next video that I make, how to, you know, join, okay? So if you look, there's the tear. We got right to it, and there, it's gone. We're fine now, okay? So like I said, this one, when this is glued on, you'll never know the tear's right here. If you see, it's a tiny tear. Let me see here. But when this is glued back together, you'll never see that. I guarantee you, I've done it. Now you're going to use your fingers again, and you're going to start, you know, you're going to start going. And it's that simple. You just pull them off. And you saw I wasn't being gentle. I mean, I was grabbing this thing and I was going with it. You know? You can get to the end, and like if you use your fingertips, you see how much is left. Use the border as a guide. Right at that white border, or maybe, you know, even a little more, but I'm gonna try to go. If you get greedy at this point, that's what happened. You'll get greedy and ruin it. So get it right there and use your fingertips like I showed you. Push, push, push. There, done. Okay, the card's perfect. The edge is perfect. I mean, perfect. I'm sorry, it wasn't in the camera. And that's it. When you glue this back on, whatever gaff you do, whether you're using this side or this side, this will glue out perfectly flat like a brand new card. So I hope that helps you. And if you guys, this is my first video. If you guys like it or have any questions, comment below, and I'll check it all the time and answer. Look out for my other videos of how to make gaff cards, how we're going to glue these and iron them, and I hope you like it. Thanks, guys.